Welcome to Viewpoint Vortex. I am your host Yashwant Shah. Today we'll be talking about Nepal. The history of the Gorkha kings of the Shah dynasty of Nepal is intertwined with the history of the formation of the Himalayan nation of Nepal. It was the king of Gorkha, Prithvi Narayan Shah, who set out to make a country known as Nepal. He conquered the Kathmandu Valley in 1769, and after that he unified the Baisi Rajya. Baisi Raj means the 22 big kingdoms, and Chaubisi Raj, the 24 smaller kingdoms and principalities, all put together formed what is known as Nepal. The various rulers of the Shah dynasty ruled the country for the next 240 years, and it was on the 28th of May 2008 when King Gyanendra, bowing down to the pressure of a popular revolt, quit the Narayanhiti royal palace and as a commoner went on and settled at the Nagarjun royal palace on the outskirts of Kathmandu Valley. On 28th of May 2008, when King Gyanendra vacated the Narayanhiti royal palace, thereafter Nepal became a secular republic, and on the 28th of September 2015, Nepal adopted the constitution, and the constitution declared it a federal parliamentary republic. But the trials with democracy was not all that good, which people were expecting it. People had high hopes, and soon the coalition politics, numerous scams one after another, rocked the Himalayan nation time and again. The common people started to feel insecure under the politicians, and the country was facing a lot of problems, and under the politicians, once the people started to feel insecure, a sizable number started to advocate the return of monarchy as the constitution head of the nation. So there were a lot of murmurs already, and in this regard, the time and again change of the government was really frustrating the people on the streets. If you see, from March 2025 to June 2025, Kathmandu Valley itself faced 6 massive pro-monarchy demonstrations. So that was the sentiment of the people that was being reflected, and the government was paying no heed to it. So in early September 2025, the Gen Z, the new generation, they took up the cudgels of change, and there were massive widespread protests against the misrule, and the government had to bow down. At that time, the Prime Minister was Mr. K.P. Sharma Oli, who had to resign, and the ministers and the different politicians were seen running for cover because the people were very angry and they had started attacking the houses of the politicians. So there were scenes in the television all over with a lot of helicopters evacuating the politicians and their families to safe cover. But at that time, Nepal army came handy, and the army chief took the control of the worsening situation from further falling apart. And consensus candidate, the former Chief Justice of Nepal, Srimati Sushila Karki, was sworn in as the caretaker Prime Minister, and very soon the new government was to work for the people and ensure that a more robust government would come into power. The corrupt were to be held responsible, and thereafter, if you see the entire context of democracy in Nepal, you see there were 3 chief politicians who were becoming the Prime Minister again and again. Whether you chose one or the other, all 3, one or the other, would be in power. K.P. Sharma Oli became the Prime Minister 4 times. Sher Bahadur Devpa became the Prime Minister 5 times. Pushp Kamal Dahal, popularly known as Prachand, became the Prime Minister 3 times. So in a matter of about 17 years, the trias of democracy had gone down with the people, as it is seen as a period of high instability, massive corruption. One or after the other corruption scandals were rocking the nation. Erosion of Nepal's standing in the world arena. Nepal was losing out internationally. There was a lot of political bickering because there were too many political parties. There were about approximately 7 political parties in the national level and about 13 of them at the state level. Then the lackluster development was taking place. Most of the projects were lying and they were half completed. Another great reason was the economic slowdown. Due to economic slowdown, a lot of Nepalese had to move out of the country in search of bread and butter for better pastures and to send back the money so that it could help their parents and others. And of course, there were instances of the assault on religion because Nepal was no more a Hindu nation. It was a secular country now. So in these 17 years, if you see, there were more than a dozen prime ministers, and it clearly reflects the high instability that the nation was facing. But after the sad incidents of the Royal Palace massacre that happened on the fateful night of the 1st of June 2001, the beloved King Birendra and Queen Aishwarya, whom the people used to see as the guardian of the nation, were no more. And the instability started. Although Prince Gyanendra, the younger brother of King Birendra, took over as the king of the country, but the expectation of the people was overriding, and taking cue of this weakening situation, the agitations were there a lot on the streets, and vested interests wanted to enter. And this is the reason why it was the end of monarchy on the 28th of May 2008. But even if monarchy comes today, the monarchy, first and foremost, like we should debate upon why monarchy is needed in Nepal today. Because monarchy, if it is restored in Nepal, the king is the head of the nation. Then a country like Nepal will not have to support the various presidents, vice presidents, and the chief ministers of different states and provide them with the retirement benefits, the houses, etc. Because one person, when I was sitting in the bar mark at a cafe and talking to a few gentlemen there, they said that the nation needs the monarchy. It does not need this federal setup because the federal setup has failed, and there are a number of reasons for it, especially the high corruption, unemployment, and the weakening of the economics there. So basically, the people see King Gyanendra as somebody who has an experience, who is accepted by the masses, and he is the face of monarchy. King Gyanendra is in his mid-70s, and the second line of command should also be ready to assist him. And Princess Himani, who runs the Himani Trust, has done a lot of commendable work. She has a very active NGO that is working for the people. But the quantum of the work needs to be ramped up so that it has a better impact and a larger impact on the people and the masses. The third is the young Prince Hidendra. He is pursuing his higher education in the US, and he belongs to the Gen Z. And it is high time that he should be seen in the public all more. And like Nepal is a country where football is popular, cricket is gaining popularity, people are into music. So they would be very happy to see their future king as somebody whom they can closely relate to. And if he is seen more in the public, mixing around with the people, following their sports, and like other activities and the NGO welfare activity, then there is a great amount of respect. So basically the monarchy, the people at the helm of it, King Gyanendra, Princess Himani and Prince Hidendra, they need a coterie of people who are very well versed and who have a greater understanding of the nation, of economics, of politics, and who are able to give unbiased views to guide the monarchy, to steer it into power. And because this institution of monarchy is a very revered institution, because for the Nepalese, the king is just not the king, he is the incarnation of Lord Vishnu. And that is why you see that he is referred to as Sri Panch. Sri Panch is a mark of respect in the Hindu world. So all planning, all the views, whatever the amount of demonstrations may happen and whatever the number of elections may happen, there has to be a positive change. And the future plan layout has to be reflected by the monarchy so that the people know as to what is the vision they bring with them and what the country is going to see under monarchy. Because if you see people who are in their 17, 18 years of age, they have never seen monarchy. People who were born before 2008, they had seen monarchy. So this is a very important factor which cannot be overlooked. And the major challenges for monarchy in future is going to be that they need to have a vision document that needs to address certain points which are of paramount importance for the success of monarchy. Because what ultimately happens is that all the momentary bonhomie and the happiness, enthusiasm of monarchy coming back to power will end once the people start looking for overnight changes. And as you know that in a third world country where there are limited resources, you cannot have overnight changes. So if you have a plan layout from before and it is put up in the public viewpoint that these are the changes which under monarchy the people can expect, it gives a positive outlook to the entire institution. And some of those points that the country under the monarchy would need to address is first and foremost to reduce unemployment and to hold back the population for nation building. The second is that to reduce pollution, because basically Nepal lies in the fragile Himalayan zone, and to safeguard the environment it is of great importance. The third is to ramp up the education and health services, because these days education is very important and proper health services should reach out to the common masses, even in the most non-accessible areas. Then the king is looked as the custodian of the sacred temples, religious beliefs and customs. So he has a great responsibility of maintaining that position with great respect, and he has to win the hearts of the people. So the other points that royal family would have to address are that there should be accountability for the performance in democracy. A non-interference attitude of the monarchy is welcome, but if something is going haywire, then naturally there has to be a proper legal mechanism to set that thing right. Then Nepal lies between two mighty neighbors, so the head of the nation has to maintain a good cordial relation both with India and China. And as the supreme commander of the army and the police, the king has to take decision for the well-being and happiness of the personnel in it. So now the challenge is that how is the monarchy going to react to the public's view? And what is the mechanism of the monarchy returning back to power? There has to be a referendum, and I feel that a referendum should be held as soon as possible before the general elections, so that there is a clear-cut line of command. And the national referendum, whether the public need the monarchy or not, should be conducted as soon as possible, because I feel that from 2021 onwards, during my different travels to Nepal, I could feel the sentiment of change in the people on the streets. And a lot of people were looking back to the good old days of monarchy, and they were much more happier, more justice was there, as compared to they felt cheated under the federal system that they had chosen. So a national referendum under the auspices of the United Nations and certain observer neutral countries. And this needs to be a very realistic, the people have to have a very realistic view of it and vote openly. Maximum, the larger number of people who come out to vote in the referendum would reflect a better understanding of the mindset of the people. So now it is with the people of Nepal to choose whether they need monarchy or not. So until the decision is taken, which will definitely be reflected in the national referendum, which I feel that should take place as early as possible, because that gives more stability to the nation, which the nation is highly looking for. Thank you very much.